Within combat sports, no stage has commanded the spotlight like professional boxing. Amongst the universal spectacle that sees fighters propel themselves towards eternal glory, the notion of being crowned the mightiest of combatants within the world has led to the production of numerous world champions within its illustrious history. Falling far from its grace, the sport would take an unfortunate turn for the worst.
Money isn't everything. Money is the only thing. You heard that?
The Money Mayweather era would see combatants tread down a devious path, ensuring low risk and high reward. And with the introduction of mixed martial arts to the American audience, the consistency of making the best fights available saw boxing take a back seat.
More nonsense from the sport of boxing. And then fight fans look over their shoulder at the UFC, at what Dana White is doing, giving the people what they actually want to see all the damn time. No excuses, no exceptions. And then you got the nerve to wonder why boxing keeps falling while the UFC is elevating?
A post-Mayweather era, which saw fighters hold on to their undefeated records, it would see a decline within the boxing audience. But with a recent injection of investment from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, it would see boxing once again at the forefront of sports entertainment. Despite crossover and gimmick encounters constantly taking place, it's willingness of the newer generation that has kept continued to generate the viewership. And where one era closes, another begins, driven by a new breed of fighters eager to take their place at the top. One of those fighters is currently sitting at the top. Xander Zayas, the reigning WBO and WBA light middleweight champion. He has built a reputation as one of the most explosive and unpredictable forces within the division. Set to make the first defense of his unified titles, he now faces a combatant whose prowess rivals his own. Jaron Ennis, known for his effortless switch hitting, blistering hand speed, and explosive punching power. His fighting career has saw him become a two-time welterweight world champion. And in his recent campaign at light middleweight, his aspirations have led him to the tenacious world champion. Hosting this summer blockbuster, the Barclays Centre cements this bout's status as a modern-day classic for championship boxing. Famed for its roaring East Coast crowds, a Puerto Rican contingent, and a Philadelphia fan base will add to this epic encounter. On a night where the outcome could cause many career implications, a resounding victory for either fighter will be paramount. Welcome to the Xander Zayas versus Jaron Ennis Fight Countdown. In a journey spanning over a decade and a combined total of 59 professional bouts, two distinguished and recognized fighters will step into the ring for career supremacy.
Unbelievable for boxing this fight is made. Two of the very best in the sport for the unified 154-pound championship.
And to understand the significance of this encounter, there's no better way to begin than with the defending unified light middleweight champion, Xander Zayas. Hailing from San Juan, Puerto Rico, he would look to emulate the island's previous greats. A highly aggressive-minded fighter with blistering hand speed and thudding knockout power, his thrilling performances have led him to become one of the sport's most viewed fighters. Currently standing as the premier name within the division, Zayas has quickly become amongst the sport's newest attractions. With majority of his bouts scheduled in New York, the huge number of Puerto Rican expats have helped boost his notoriety.
And when you're a guy who can be put in a position to pick and choose, you're risking a lot because you have a built-in economic engine behind you. But you're undefeated. You've been groomed and promoted as maybe the future star.
This is a fight he definitely didn't have to take. For him to choose the toughest guy on paper right now, you know, it's crazy. He could have went a different route, but he chose the best guy.
In the case of Jaron Boots Ennis, a former two-time welterweight champion of the world, he's lauded as one of the best fighters within the sport. Hailing from the streets of Philadelphia, he looks to replicate the success of those who came before him and bring glory to his boxing-famed city.
They're trying to put the city on, and I'm just trying to make a blueprint for everybody else and make it easier for them.
Known for his extremely educated footwork and in-ring intelligence, Ennis has boxed his way to a perfect record of 35 victories and no defeats. A stylistic power puncher, 31 of his wins have come by way of knockout. Moving to a newer weight class, he now hopes to become the premier name of the light middleweight division. And as questions still arise of whether Boots is overrated, he plans to display a dominant performance in this mouth-watering clash.
Boots hasn't proven anything yet. Not his fault, but he hasn't fought anyone. He looks special. Now we're going to find out, is he special?
A huge hurdle to his success. He now faces perhaps the toughest challenge of his professional career. Bludgeoning his opponents with vicious combinations, the Puerto Rican champion's vast skill set could be enough to silence the Philadelphia fighter's aspirations. And where previous opponents have failed to compete with his superiority, Zayas' cold and calm confidence is backed by his in-ring ferocity.
I think when guys step in the ring with Boots, they're intimidated with the athleticism. Xander, he's not. He's a champion. He's confident. He got that Puerto Rican pride.
For all the praise and affection received in such a prominent role, comes also the duty of fending off various threats posed by a never-ending line of hungry competitors. And where the career of young fighters is usually spent sheltered, building records and avoiding risks. At 23 years of age, Xander Zayas has discarded the luxury of patience.
But I'm not done. I'm not satisfied with what I've done yet. I want to leave a legacy in the sport.
As the youngest unified world champion in the sport, Zayas does not see his age as a shield, but instead as an engine. And while most fighters his age are fending off prospects, his willingness to obtain greatness has propelled his career to newer heights.
He's already won a world championship. He's unified it in his next fight. Now he's fighting Boots Ennis as a defense. That's scary in itself, the fact that this young man has that kind of confidence to take on this challenge.
It's the most important fight of my career. And my next opponent is my toughest fight to date. He's an undefeated fighter. He doesn't know how to lose. I don't know how to lose. Somebody's always got to go, and I promise you it won't be mine.
Within the sport of boxing, despite how technically sound a fighter might be, it's the thrilling knockouts that entice the wider audience. And with both combatants displaying the ability of knockout power, this is perhaps the most intriguing part of this matchup. Having scored 31 knockouts in his 25 victories, Jaron Ennis has shown himself to be a knockout puncher. Boxing firmly behind a strong jab and right hand, Ennis's ability to swiftly move his feet in various defensive and offensive positions at a moment's notice has enabled him to set up his vicious knockouts. Despite being able to outbox his opponents to a decision comfortably, his mindset of going for the knockout has made him a fan favorite. Hailed as Philly's newest star, a dominant victory would solidify his status amongst the sport's best.
I just feel like Boots is different. I think he's a pound-for-pound #1 in the weighting. But to do that, you need fights like this. You need resumes that get built over time. And he's done it at 147. Now he wants to become undisputed at 154. And tough fights, tough tasks ahead. And it all starts June 27.
In Xander Zayas, he finds someone who rivals his punching power. Systematically breaking down his opponents, the Puerto Rican fighter has all the potential to produce a stunning upset. With over 100 amateur contests and U.S. national championships, Zayas' amateur pedigree is just one of the many assets in his repertoire. Possessing a fearless mindset, backed by an aggressive approach, Zayas hopes to use his size advantage to overpower Boots Ennis. And with both fighters sharing similar knockout power, the boxing spectators should not expect this bout to go the distance. Within combat sports, the style of fighting of a fighter is uniquely embedded within them. Determining how they fight, it's the techniques honed, alongside their methods of training, that help shape their fighting career. For both Xander Zayas and Jaron Ennis, their style of fighting is unique to them. And with the old adage, styles make fights, we take a look at the styles of both combatants heading into their showdown. Known for his relentless pressure and vicious combination punching, Xander Zayas is regarded as one of the division's most dangerous and exciting fighters. Willing to get into exchanges to land his own punches, his ability to overwhelm his opponents has allowed him to display thrilling performances. Proudly carrying the fiery lineage of Puerto Rican boxing, he looks to become the island's de facto star.
He has all the makings, I believe, to be that Puerto Rican next star.
Despite being only 23 years of age, his vast amount of skill set has saw him become the division's unified champion. And although he has the ability to outbox his opponents comfortably to a decision, his preferred style of brawling has saw him finish his bouts in a more exhilarating manner.
He's never been uncomfortable. He's never had to make an adjustment because all these guys were tailor-made for him to look good.
In the case of Jaron Ennis, his style of fighting is unique to him. Hailed currently as one of the most naturally skilled fighters within the sport, his one-sided performances have helped boost his notoriety. Having the ability to be defensively aware whilst unleashing combinations frustrates his opponents throughout the bout. Technically sound, his constant probing jab allows him to measure the distance before committing. A stylish boxer, his capability to effortlessly switch between stances gives him greater advantage.
I learned how to fight both sides. The switch hitting style is, for me, is natural and unique.
Handed an opportunity to become a two-weight world champion, Jaron Ennis looks to display his skill set in dominant fashion.
It's time. It's my time. I'm going to show the world I'm the best fighter in the world, and I'm going to stamp my name in boxing.
Everybody in boxing knows about this guy. Now it's time to tell the world. He's got absolutely everything. The ability to beat everybody. He's got style. He's got speed. He's got power. When you spell greatness, it spells E-N-N-I-S.
And in an era where fighters look to swerve dangerous opponents, both Xander Zayas and Jaron Ennis have displayed the throwback mindset of facing the best. A clear contrast of styles, the boxing spectators should expect an exceptional showdown.
Two guys in their prime, two guys full of confidence, two guys never to suffer a defeat.
Within boxing, an undefeated record is the ultimate symbol of superiority. When two unbeaten fighters face off, they are fighting to prove who is truly the best of their generation. The winner cements their status as a legendary pound-for-pound king, while the loser faces the psychological hurdle of losing their O and rebuilding their career. With a habit of being over-aggressive and overconfident, a lack of concentration could lead to a potential knockdown for either fighter. And in a fight that could cause much career changes, a resounding victory would be paramount for both combatants.
You'll find a lot of people who will pick one guy or the other. It's not going to be like overwhelming favorite one way or another. It's a big fight. The styles match up in such a way that it's hard to imagine it's not a really good action fight.
You have two undefeated guys in their absolute prime who haven't yet experienced a mega fight yet.
A highly anticipated encounter. It would see two of the sport's top fighters face off for career supremacy.
We get the fight that we didn't ask for, but the fight that we're getting and we're not mad at.
Displaying both brilliance and brutality, the boxing spectators should expect a titanic thriller.
When you get a guy who's bringing it against a guy who knows how to box, it's the kind of style that usually makes good fights.
The rivalry between Philadelphia boxing and Puerto Rican boxing is one of the deepest, most violent traditions in the sport, and a clash between Jaron "Boots" Ennis and Xander Zayas resurrects that exact ghost. It is the classic turf war reborn. On one side stands Boots Ennis, carrying the torch for Philadelphia. He brings the quintessential Philly style, the slick shoulder roll, Philly shell defense, and an unapologetic, mean-spirited grit born in tough, smoky gyms. On the other side stands the defending unified champion, Xander Zayas, the latest prodigy carrying the heavy pride of Puerto Rico on his shoulders. He brings the classic island style, a punishing textbook jab, a ruthless investment in the body, backed by his relentless nature. This is the exact spiritual sequel to Bernard Hopkins versus Felix Tito Trinidad in 2001. Hopkins brought the hard-nosed, gritty Philly masterclass to dismantle the beloved, explosive Puerto Rican icon. When Boots and Zayas share a ring, they are not just fighting for a belt. They are fighting for the historical dominance of two of boxing's most passionate, proud, and legendary fight cultures.
In the history of boxing, almost never have there been two undefeated boxer-punchers who were both elite pound for pound in or around their best weight division in their primes, where it's like a 50-50 fight.
On the 27th of June, at the Barclays Centre in Brooklyn, New York, boxing politics are thrown out the window as it pits together two undefeated fighters in their absolute prime.
They're going to descend on what will be a sold-out Barclays Centre. Puerto Rico, Philadelphia, New York, and just a wild occasion for two of the very best young stars in the sport. And the fact that they're putting it on the line against each other, we should be very grateful.
A classic Puerto Rico versus Philadelphia rivalry, it will showcase the tactical chess match of Zayas' never-ending will and in-ring tenacity against Ennis' raw athleticism and skill set.